After studying this module, you shall be able to know the importance of accounting ratios, learn to calculate the accounting ratios, analyze and interpret the ratios. Introduction. Accounting ratios are the relationship between two accounting figures, and ratio analysis is a process of comparing two accounting ratios. Ratio analysis is one of the best tools to measure liquidity, solvency, profitability, and management efficiency of the firm. It gives a clear picture of degree of utilization of resources in the organization. It helps to make proper analysis about the strength and weaknesses of the firm. In this module, we will take practical examples of all the ratios and interpret the ratios to find meaningful information. Practical illustrations on ratios. Activity ratios. Inventory turnover ratio. Inventory turnover ratio helps in maintaining a control over the inventory or stocks. This ratio is given by the following formula. Inventory turnover ratio is equal to cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Example 1. The sales of a company is rupees 36 lakhs with a gross profit ratio of 25%. The opening stock of the company is rupees 2,50,000 and closing stock is rupees 3.5 lakhs. In this case, cost of goods sold is 36 lakhs less 25% gross profit, which is equal to 36 lakhs minus 9 lakhs is equal to 27 lakhs. Average inventory is equal to opening stock plus closing stock divided by 2, which in this case is 2,50,000 plus 3,50,000 divided by 2 is equal to 3 lakhs. So inventory turnover ratio is equal to 27 lakhs divided by 3 lakhs is equal to 9. This ratio indicates that the holding period of inventory is approximately 40 days. 365 divided by 9. Debtors turnover ratio. The debtors turnover ratio is an effective means of keeping control over the debtors and their management. It is given by the following formula. Debtors turnover ratio is equal to net credit annual sales divided by average trade debtors. Debtors turnover ratio indicates the number of times the debtors are turned over during a year. From the debtors turnover ratio, there comes another ratio along, and that is the average collection period. This ratio indicates the time allowed by the company or firm to its customers in making the payment. The ratio is given by average collection period is equal to 360 divided by debtors turnover ratio, or average debtors divided by sales per day. Example 2. The credit sales of the firm is 28,80,000 and average trade debtors are rupees 3,60,000. So the debtors turnover ratio is equal to 28 lakhs to 80,000 divided by 3,60,000 is equal to 8. Average collection period is equal to 360 divided by 8 is equal to 45 days. Creditors turnover ratio. The creditors turnover ratio is calculated in the following manner. Creditors turnover ratio is equal to net credit annual purchases divided by average trade creditors. We may also calculate average payment period, which is number of working days divided by creditors turnover ratio. Example 3. Calculate the creditors turnover ratio and average debt payment period for the year 2015-2016 from the following information. Total purchases for the period is 2,75,000, out of which rupees 50,000 is cash purchases. Sundry creditors as on 1/4/2014 are 15,000. As on 31/3/2015 is 45,000. Bills payable in 2014 is 10,000 and in 2015 is 5,000. So creditors turnover ratio is equal to 2,75,000 minus 50,000 divided by 37,500, which is equal to 6. So average payment period is equal to 360 divided by 6 is equal to 60 days. Fixed assets turnover ratio. This ratio indicates to what extent fixed assets are contributed towards sales. This ratio again cannot be assessed with 1 year data. It should be compared with previous periods. It is given by the following formula. Fixed assets turnover ratio is equal to sales divided by average fixed assets. Example 4. Capital employed rupees 6 lakhs. Net fixed assets rupees 4 lakhs. Cost of goods sold is 18 lakhs. Gross profit is 2 lakhs. So calculate the fixed assets turnover ratio. Solution. Sales is equal to cost of goods sold plus gross profit, which is 18 lakhs plus 2 lakhs is equal to 20 lakhs. So fixed assets turnover ratio is equal to sales divided by average fixed assets, which in this case is equal to 20 lakhs divided by 4 lakhs is equal to 5. Working capital turnover ratios. Working capital turnover ratio indicates the number of times the working capital is turned over in the course of a year. It measures the efficiency with which the working capital is being used by the firm. A higher ratio indicates efficient utilization of working capital and a low ratio indicates otherwise. But a very high ratio is not good for any firm. This ratio can be used for making of comparative and trend analysis for different firms in the same industry and for various periods. This ratio is given by the formula working capital turnover ratio is equal to cost of sales or sales divided by average working capital. Average working capital is equal to opening working capital plus closing working capital divided by 2. Example 5. Capital employed 6 lakhs, net fixed assets 4 lakhs, cost of goods sold 18 lakhs, gross profit 2 lakhs. So calculate the working capital turnover ratios. Solution. Sales is equal to cost of goods sold plus gross profit, which is 18 lakhs plus 2 lakhs is equal to 20 lakhs. So working capital is equal to capital employed minus fixed assets is equal to 6 lakhs minus 4 lakhs is equal to rupees 2 lakhs. So working capital turnover ratio is equal to cost of sales or sales divided by average working capital, which in this case is 20 lakhs divided by 2 lakhs is equal to 10. Capital turnover ratio. Capital turnover ratio is the relationship between cost of goods sold or sales and the capital employed. This is given by the formula capital turnover ratio is equal to cost of goods sold or sales divided by capital employed. Example 6. Capital employed rupees 6 lakhs, net fixed assets 4 lakhs, cost of goods sold 18 lakhs, gross profit 2 lakhs. So calculate the working capital turnover ratio. Sales is equal to cost of goods sold plus gross profit. This is equal to 18 lakhs plus rupees 2 lakhs is equal to 20 lakhs. So capital turnover ratio is equal to cost of goods sold or sales divided by capital employed, which in this case is equal to 20 lakhs divided by 6 lakhs is equal to 3.33 times. Debt to equity ratio. This ratio determines the soundness of the long-term financial policies of the company and also measures the relative investment proportions of outsiders fund and shareholders fund in the company. It is calculated using the following formula. Long-term debts divided by shareholders fund. Example 7. The total capital employed in a firm is 10 lakhs. The shareholders fund is rupees 6 lakhs and debt is rupees 4 lakhs. Find the debt to equity ratio. Solution. Debt to equity ratio is equal to long-term debts divided by shareholders fund, which is equal to 4 lakhs divided by 6 lakhs is equal to 0.67. Capital gearing ratio. It quantifies the relationship between long-term sources of finance bearing fixed cost to equity. Fixed interest bearing securities include preference shares capital, debentures and long-term loans which carry fixed rate of dividend and interest. It is given by the following formula. Capital gearing ratio is equal to fixed interest bearing securities divided by equity shareholders fund. Example 8. Calculate the capital gearing ratio from the following information. 15% long-term debt rupees 4 lakhs, 16% preference share capital rupees 1 lakh, equity share capital rupees 1,80,000, reserves and surplus is 70,000 and there are no miscellaneous expenses. Solution. Capital gearing ratio is equal to fixed interest bearing securities divided by equity shareholders fund, which is equal to 4 lakhs plus 1 lakh divided by 1,80,000 plus 70,000. This is equal to 2. Fixed asset ratio. The fixed assets ratio explains whether the fixed assets are financed out of long-term funds or not, or which part of capital employed is used for purchasing the asset. It is given by the following formula. Fixed asset ratio is equal to fixed assets divided by capital employed, or fixed assets divided by long-term funds. Example 9. Capital employed rupees 6 lakhs, net fixed assets 4 lakhs. So calculate the fixed asset ratio. Solution. Fixed asset ratio is equal to fixed assets divided by capital employed, which is equal to 4 lakhs divided by 6 lakhs is equal to 0.67. Proprietary ratio. This ratio indicates how much are the owners fund in the total assets of the organization. It is given by the following formula. Proprietary ratio is equal to owners fund divided by total assets. Example 10. The total capital employed in a firm is 10 lakhs. The shareholders fund is rupees 6 lakhs and debt rupees 4 lakhs. The total assets employed by the firm is 12 lakhs. Find the proprietary ratio. Solution. Proprietary ratio is equal to owners fund divided by total assets, which in this case is 6 lakhs divided by 12 lakhs is equal to 0.5. Illustration 1. The net sales of Apex company are rupees 15 crore. EBIT of the company as a percentage of net sales is 12%. The capital employed comprises rupees 5 crore of equity, rupees 1 crore of cumulative redeemable preference shares bearing 13% rate of dividend, and debt capital of rupees 3 crores at an annual interest rate of 15%. Corporate income tax rate is 40% required. Calculate the return on equity or ROE for the company. Solution 1. Net sales is equal to 15 crores. EBIT is equal to 10% of net sales, which is equal to 15 crores multiplied by 12% is equal to rupees 1.8 crores. Return on investment is equal to EBIT divided by capital employed into 100, which in this case is 1.8 crores divided by 9 crore into 100 is equal to 20%. Look into the table. The capital structure is given. Equity capital 5 crores, preference capital 1 crore, debt capital 3 crores. Total is 9 crore. Tax rate is 40%, preference dividend is 13%, interest on loan is 15%. EBIT is 12% of 15 crores, which is 1.8 crores. From this, you deduct interest on debt, which is 3 into 15 divided by 100 is equal to 0.45 crores. So, EBT is 1.35 crores. Less tax at the rate of 40%, which comes to 0.54 crores. EAT is 0.81 crore, less preference dividend of 0.13 crore. So, earnings available to equity shareholders is equal to 0.68. Return on equity is equal to earnings available to shareholders, equity holders, divided by equity share capital multiplied by 100, which in this case comes to 0.68 divided by 5 into 100 equal to 13.6%. Illustration 2. From the final accounts of Prudent Limited given below, calculate the following: A. Gross profit ratio, B. Current ratio, C. Liquid ratio, and D. Return on investment ratio. Trading and profit and loss account for the year ended 31st March 2015. On the left hand side, we have the details of expenditure. To materials consumed is calculated as opening stock 9,050, purchases 54,525, total is 63,575. Out of this, deduct closing stock of 14,000. So, the material consumed is 49,575. To carriage inwards, 1,425. To office expenses, 15,000. To sales expenses, 3,000. To interest expense, 1,500. To loss on sale of fixed assets, 400. To net profit, 15,000. The total of all the expenses is 85,900. On the right hand side, by sales, we have a figure of 85,000. By profit, non-operating 600. By interest income 300. So, the total of that comes to 85,900. Balance sheet as on 31st March 2015 is like this. Liabilities. Let's look at it first. Share capital, 2,000 equity shares of rupees 10 each, fully paid, which is equal to 20,000. General reserve 9,000. Profit and loss account 6,000. Bank overdraft 3,000. Sundry creditors for expenses 2,000. For others 8,000. Total is 10,000. And total of all the liabilities is 48,000. On asset side, we have fixed assets, buildings 15,000, plant 8,000, total is 23,000. Current assets are stock in trade 14,000, debtors 7,000, bills receivable 1,000, bank balance 3,000, total is 25,000, and the total of asset side is 48,000. Solution. Gross profit ratio is gross profit divided by sales multiplied by 100. Sales are 85,000, less material consumption 49,575, carries inwards 51,000. So, the gross profit is 34,000. Gross profit ratio is equal to 34,000 divided by 85,000 multiplied by 100 is 40%. Current ratio is current assets divided by current liabilities. Stocks 14,000 debtors 7,000, bills receivable 1,000, bank balance 3,000. So total of current assets is 25,000. Current liabilities, sundry creditors 10,000, bank overdraft 3,000, total of current liabilities is 13,000. So the current ratio is 25,000 divided by 13,000 is equal to 1.92 is 1. Liquid ratio is equal to liquid assets divided by current liabilities. This is equal to current assets minus stocks divided by current liabilities, which in our case is 25,000 minus 14,000 divided by 13,000. This is equal to 0.84 to 1. Return on investment is equal to operating profit divided by capital employed multiplied by 100, which in our case is net profit 15,000, add loss on sale of fixed assets 400, interest expense 1,500. So the total is 16,900. Out of this, deduct interest income of 300, non-operating profit 600, total of that is 900. So the total operating profit is 16,000. Share capital is 20,000, general reserve is 9,000, profit and loss account balance is 6,000. So the total capital employed is 35,000. Return on investment is equal to 16,000 divided by 35,000 multiplied by 100 is equal to 45.71%. Illustration 3. A company is capitalized as follows: 7% preference shares, rupee 1 each, 6 lakhs. Ordinary shares, rupee 1 each, 16 lakhs. Total capital is 22 lakhs. The following information is relevant as to its financial year just ended. Profit after taxation at 50%, rupees 5,42,000. Market price of ordinary share, rupees 4. Ordinary dividend paid, 20% of book value. Depreciation, rupees 1,20,000. You are required to state the following, showing the necessary workings. A. Dividend yield on ordinary shares. B. Earnings yield. C. Price earning ratio. D. Net cash flow. Solution 3. A. Dividend yield on ordinary share is equal to dividend divided by market price per share, which in this case is 0.20 divided by 4 multiplied by 100 is equal to 5%. B. Earning yield is equal to EPS divided by market price into 100, which in this case is 0.3125 divided by 4 into 100 is equal to 7.8%. C. PE ratio. PE ratio is equal to market price of share divided by earning per share is equal to 4 divided by 0.3125 is equal to 12.8. EPS is calculated as profit after tax minus preference dividend divided by number of ordinary shares, which in this case is 5,42,000 minus 42,000 divided by 16 lakhs is equal to 0.3125. D. Net cash flow. PBT or profit before tax is 10,84,000 less tax at the rate of 50%, 5,42,000. PAT 5,42,000. Add back depreciation of 1,20,000. Total is 6,62,000 less preference dividend 42,000. Ordinary dividend 3,20,000. So the balance available is 3,62,000 and net cash flow is 3 lakhs. Illustration 4. The summarized balance sheet of Goods Value Traders Limited for the year ended 31/3/2006 is given below. Capital and liabilities. Equity share fully paid up 140 lakhs, reserves and surplus 45, profit and loss account 20, provision for taxation 10, sundry creditors 40, total is 255. On asset side, we have fixed assets at cost 210, less depreciation 25, the net fixed assets are 185. Current assets, stock is 25, debtors is 30, cash is 15, so the total of all assets is 255. The following further particulars are also given for the year. Rupees are in lakhs, sales are 120 lakhs, earnings before interest and tax EBIT is 30 lakhs, net profit after tax PAT is 20 lakhs. Calculate the following for the company and explain the significance of each. A. Current ratio. B. Liquidity ratio. C. Profitability ratio. D. Profitability on funds employed. E. Debtors turnover. F. Stock turnover. G. Average collection period. H. Return on equity. Solution. Current ratio is calculated like this. Current assets calculation is stock 25, debtors 30, cash 15, total is 70. Current liabilities are 40 lakhs and current ratio is current assets divided by current liabilities, which is equal to 70 divided by 40 is equal to 1.75:1. This ratio indicates the financial position of the firm in meeting current liabilities out of current assets. The prudential ratio is 2:1. B. Liquid ratio is defined as quick assets divided by current liabilities is equal to current assets minus stock divided by current liabilities, which in our case is 70 minus 25 divided by 40 is equal to 1.125 is equal to 1. Liquidity ratio indicates the liquidity position of the company in meeting its current liabilities out of its liquid assets. Prudential norm is 1:1. C. Profitability ratio is defined as EBIT divided by sales into 100, which in this case is 30 divided by 120 into 100 is equal to 25%. This ratio indicates the margin of profits made on sales. D. Profitability of funds employed. This ratio is defined as EBIT divided by capital employed multiplied by 100, which in this case is 30 divided by 205 into 100 is equal to 14.64%. This ratio measures the return on investment or funds employed in business. E. Debtors turnover, which is defined as sales divided by average debtor is equal to 120 divided by 30 is equal to 4 times. It indicates the number of times the debtors are turned over in a year. Stock turnover is defined as sales divided by average stock, which in this case is 120 divided by 25 is equal to 4.8 times. It indicates the number of times the stock is converted into sales. G. Average collection period is average debtor divided by credit sales multiplied by 12, which in this case is 30 divided by 120 into 12 is equal to 3 months. This ratio indicates the average credit period allowed to the customers. H. Return on equity, which is defined as PAT divided by shareholders fund into 100 is equal to 20 divided by 205 into 100 is equal to 9.76%. This ratio indicates the percentage profit after tax earned on shareholders funds. Summary. Ratios are the relationship between two accounting figures and ratio analysis is a process of comparing two accounting ratios. Ratio analysis is one of the best tools to measure liquidity, solvency, profitability, and management efficiency of the firm. Practical calculation of ratios is very helpful in bringing forth some hidden facts and financial information. If the ratios are derived after analyzing the past results, they help management in preparation of budgets, in formulation of policies, and in preparing future plan of action.